Hello everyone, and welcome to my Young and the Restless official 24 channel. I hope everyone is having a wonderful day. Before we begin, please hit the subscribe button and give this video a thumbs up. Kane's new cheerleader is Lily, and Holden ends a fight. Lily Winters will be Kane Ashby's new cheerleader while Holden Novak breaks up a fight. At the GCAC, Phyllis Summers will drink with Kane and assume something happened with Lily to change his mind about a fresh start. Phyllis will note that Kane changes his mind a lot and will wonder if he might change it once again, but he'll insist he's not going to. Despite Kane's plan to put Aristotle Dumas behind him, Phyllis will suspect the line has blurred so much that he doesn't know who he really is anymore. Phyllis won't have a problem with that and will think Kane should just let this blurred line happen. Before he considers more allegations, Kane will join Phyllis in her suite when he arrives. Kane will wonder if Phyllis swiped the AI program with the intention of going after Arabesque for pennies on the dollar. Phyllis will maintain that she isn't behind the program theft, so Kane will move in close and play up his attraction to her. It'll leave Phyllis glad that she's got Kane's attention as they start kissing wildly. At Society, Lily will weird Adam Newman and Chelsea Lawson out by suddenly becoming Kane's cheerleader and acting like he deserves a chance to prove himself. Adam will have a tough time buying that Kane has changed and will point out he wasn't exactly a Boy Scout before all the Dumas drama either. Although Lily will accuse Victor of the AI program theft, Adam will insist there's no proof and will keep the focus on Kane's own bad behavior. Lily will want the Newmans to back off Kane and let him heal his family, but Chelsea and Adam will act like Kane needs to end the conflict he started. Once Lily stomps over to the bar, she'll have some Kane flashbacks and leave him a voicemail that basically points to her torn heart. Lily will hint about needing time and won't be certain of how patient Kane can be as she hangs up. At the coffee house, Claire Newman will clear the air with Holden regarding Los Angeles. Although Claire enjoyed herself with Holden, she won't want to dive into a new relationship and won't know if they'll ever hit the sheets again. Claire will clarify that she's not getting back together with Kyle Abbott and that she doesn't judge Holden over his confession about what he did with Audra Charles. That said, Claire will look uneasy as she questions Holden about whether he regrets what happened with Audra. Holden won't seem like he really does, but he'll try to play it off as nervousness over Claire watching him like a hawk. Claire will eventually question if there was some part of the story that wasn't so neat and tidy. It'll leave Claire wondering if Holden would fill her in if that news. She will tease Claire about switching from Holden the player to Kyle, who is boring. Claire will hint about being able to make trouble for Audra with one phone call, but Audra will threaten to mess up Claire's pretty face as the fight escalates. Holden will play referee, but Claire will get the last word in when she hints about Holden needing to answer her earlier question. Claire will make things seem ominous for Audra before she exits with Holden. Holden and Lily kiss as sad hearts meet. Kane fumes over hot twist. Lily Winters may kiss Holden Novak as discouraged hearts collide. Will Kane Ashby end up fuming over this hot twist? Kane dismissed Lily's recent observation of Phyllis Summers stealing a kiss from her as just another game. Kane acted like he was working an angle with Phyllis and launched another Lily reunion attempt, but Lily pushed him too far in the end. After facing so many rejections from Lily, Kane ultimately realized he'd never be good enough for her and turned his full attention to Phyllis instead. It looks like Kane and Phyllis are going to land in bed together, so they'll step out of the business associate and friend zone. However, Lily will start to have second thoughts about repeatedly pushing Kane away. After Lily finally recognizes that Kane's truly been trying to fix things, she'll perhaps see that she's judged him too harshly. Of course, Kane and Phyllis's bedroom development could rattle Lily if she gets updates. Lily may rethink things once again and wonder about Kane's true feelings if he could ditch her for Phyllis so fast. Kane surrendered to Phyllis the same night he fought so hard for a Lily reunion, which may give Lily pause once more. Meanwhile, we've got Holden, who'll be feeling a little used and rejected by Claire Newman. Claire was all about having fun with Holden in Los Angeles, but she pulled back after their night together and his confession about what went down with Audra Charles. Once Claire clarifies that she doesn't want a new romance with Holden and may not even want to go to bed with him again, he'll be feeling some tough emotions along with Lily. Holden and Lily will do some bonding, so they might share some drinks and vent to each other a bit. Since Kane was so quick to sizzle with Phyllis, will Lily do the same with Holden? We could certainly imagine Lily kissing Holden in the heat of the moment, so Kane might walk in just in time to see it and fume. Lily Winters had spent weeks pretending her heart wasn't quietly crumbling every time Kane Ashby's name drifted into a room, but that simmering ache finally reached its boiling point on the night everything went sideways, the night she became Kane's unexpected new cheerleader while Holden Novak found himself forced into referee mode between a vicious clash of tempers, secrets, and jealousies. At the GCAC, where the lights glowed dim and warm like a stage set for chaos, Phyllis Summers nursed a glass of bourbon beside Kane, her posture loose and sharp at once, her eyes glinting with the satisfaction of a woman who knew exactly how to stir a wounded man toward the edge. She watched Kane with the fascination of someone who saw him unraveling and enjoyed the spectacle, but she also sensed that he was shifting again, pivoting emotionally, morally, relationally. So she assumed, naturally, that Lily had somehow been the trigger. Kane changed his mind like most people changed outfits, and Phyllis, with that sly smirk of hers, didn't hesitate to suggest it. But Kane insisted this time was different, he wasn't going back, he wasn't flip-flopping anymore, and he wasn't letting the ghost of Aristotle Dumas dictate his identity. Phyllis listened, head tilted, knowing better than most how seductive blurred lines could be. Kane was no longer sure where the Dumas persona ended and where he began, and Phyllis, fully unopposed to that dangerous ambiguity, encouraged him to embrace it rather than fight it. "Let it happen," she murmured, her voice dark silk. And after Kane followed her upstairs to her suite, where the air was thick with temptation and unspoken intent, they shared a nightcap that only further stirred the simmering wildfire building beneath Kane's carefully controlled exterior. When Kane wondered aloud if she had stolen the AI program to sabotage Arabesque and cash out at a bargain, Phyllis denied it with enough conviction to irritate him, but not enough to erase his suspicion. Kane stepped close, frustration shifting into attraction, and soon Phyllis had exactly what she wanted, Kane's mouth on hers, their kisses wild and reckless, a collision of two damaged souls numbing themselves with fire instead of logic. Across town at Society, Lily Winters stunned Adam Newman and Chelsea Lawson with an abrupt, and strangely fervent, defense of Kane. Just hours earlier, she was cold, distant, and determined to protect herself from another heartbreak. But now she'd flipped like a switch, championing Kane's right to start fresh and accusing Victor of orchestrating the AI theft. Adam shut that down fast. He wasn't buying Kane's redemption arc and certainly wasn't letting Lily deflect responsibility from her ex. His voice was sharp, a warning embedded in every syllable. Kane didn't need sympathy, he needed accountability. Chelsea backed him up, pointing out that Kane had started the war he was now trying to crawl out of. But Lily was relentless, practically daring the Newmans to leave Kane alone long enough for him to fix the mess of his fractured family. Her emotions were running too high, too raw, and Adam saw through her instantly. She wasn't defending Kane out of logic, but out of fear and longing. Once she stormed off to the bar, her breath shaky with memories she pretended she'd forgotten. She let the past wash over her in painful flashes, Kane's smile, his apologies, his promises, their shared life that felt both distant and close enough to choke her. She left him a voicemail, one that exposed her torn heart. She spoke in hesitant phrases about needing time, questioning whether Kane had enough patience left to keep waiting. Her voice cracked just enough to betray what she wouldn't say directly. She wasn't done with him, not emotionally, not spiritually, not even physically. But fear kept her shackled. Meanwhile, at the coffee house, Claire Newman and Holden Novak had a brutally honest conversation about Los Angeles. Claire admitted she had fun with him, fun she didn't want to regret, but she wasn't willing to tumble into a new romance after everything she'd survived. She also clarified firmly that she wasn't going back to Kyle Abbott. She wasn't that woman anymore. But when she questioned Holden about whether he regretted what happened with Audra Charles, something flickered in his expression, something trapped between guilt and indifference. Holden tried to play it off, telling Claire he was merely nervous under her intense stare, but she sensed something uneven beneath his polished story. Was there more to the tale than he'd confessed? Would he ever tell her if there was? Before she could push harder, Audra herself strolled in like a storm dressed as a woman. She taunted Claire with venomous amusement, mocking her for trading boring Kyle for Holden the player. Claire didn't rise to the insult, but her eyes sharpened with cold fury. She hinted that a single phone call from her could destroy Audra's life. Audra didn't hesitate to escalate, threatening to rearrange Claire's face. The tension snapped, voices rising as they squared off like enemies with years of hatred instead of months. Holden rushed between them, practically holding Claire back as the two women spat threats that could burn a building down. Claire got the last word, warning Audra that Holden still owed her answers, and implying those answers might not go well for Audra. Then she left with Holden, leaving Audra rattled despite her confident facade. But the emotional hurricanes weren't finished yet, not even close. Because while Claire was unraveling Holden's composure and Phyllis was luring Kane deeper into her orbit, Lily was heading toward a collision she didn't see coming. After leaving Kane that voicemail, she wandered through the night with a weight in her chest she couldn't name, each breath sharper than the last. Holden, who had just endured a fight that left him emotionally bruised, crossed paths with her. He recognized the same emptiness he felt lingering behind her eyes. Two people exhausted by rejection, betrayal, confusion, and heartbreak, two souls orbiting the wrong partners, found each other in a moment when the world felt too heavy. They shared drinks, not for celebration, but for numbness. They vented, their words spilling out softer and more vulnerable with each passing minute. And then it happened, the kind of moment that destroys carefully constructed emotional walls. Lily looked at Holden, really looked at him, and saw someone who wasn't judging her, wasn't pushing her, wasn't running from her pain. Holden saw a woman who was desperately trying to be strong for everyone but herself. Sad hearts collided in a quiet implosion of need, loneliness, and resonance. 1 second they were talking, the next, Lily leaned in, her lips trembling just slightly before she kissed him. It was soft at first, tentative, unsure, but then it deepened, became warmer, needier, as if they both needed this one reckless moment to breathe again. Holden kissed her back, his hand brushing her jaw, and the connection shocked them both with its intensity. But fate has a cruel sense of timing. Because Kane Ashby, fresh from Phyllis's suite, the taste of bourbon and regret still on his tongue, walked in just in time to see Lily kissing Holden as if he were the man she'd been aching for all along. Kane froze. Everything inside him went perfectly, terrifyingly still. And then the fury rose. Hot, violent, consuming. The woman he had loved for years, the woman he had chased, begged, fought for, was kissing Holden Novak like Kane had meant nothing. Like their shared history was disposable. Like Phyllis's lips had barely cooled before Lily found someone new to latch onto. The betrayal slammed into him, even though he'd been in another woman's bed hours earlier. Kane's chest tightened, his jaw clenched, and the heartbreak he thought he'd buried roared back with brutal force. That kiss, Lily's impulsive, grief-drunk kiss with Holden, was about to ignite a whole new war between three broken hearts, one dangerous temptress, and a man who'd finally reached his breaking point. Kane Ashby stood frozen in the dimly lit entrance of the GCAC lounge, disbelief clawing at his throat as he stared at the sight unfolding before him. Lily Winters, his Lily, pressed against Holden Novak, her hands curled into his jacket, her lips moving hungrily with his. It wasn't a chaste, confused kiss. It wasn't an accidental brush or a moment of stumbling weakness. It was intentional. Passionate. Personal. And the worst part? Holden kissed her right back, as if he had been waiting for the very moment Kane wasn't looking to steal the one thing Kane had always fought to protect. Betrayal hit harder than any punch Kane had ever taken. His vision blurred with fury, his heartbeat spiking like a weapon ready to detonate. He wanted to storm across the room, tear Holden away from her, demand answers she wasn't prepared to give. But his feet wouldn't move, stuck between devastation and rage. He could still taste Phyllis Summers on his lips, the wild rush of their connection hours earlier, and yet somehow Lily's kiss with Holden hurt in a way his night with Phyllis never could. Because Kane's heart had never stopped belonging to Lily, even on the nights when everything between them fell apart. Tonight was proof, whether he wanted her or not, Lily still had the power to destroy him. Across the room, Lily's eyes snapped open mid-kiss. Something call it instinct, guilt, or emotional static, made her turn. Her gaze landed directly on Kane. She froze. Her lips parted, soft with shock. Holden, still breathless, followed her line of sight and tensed like a man about to get punched. Kane didn't blink. Didn't breathe. Didn't move. But the storm in his eyes said everything he refused to speak. Rage. Hurt. Betrayal. And something deeper, something darker, swirling beneath the surface. Lily pulled back from Holden so fast she nearly stumbled, one hand clutching the edge of the bar as if she needed it to keep from collapsing. Her heart hammered against her ribs, the weight of her impulsive decision becoming unbearable in an instant. Holden tried to speak, "Kane, man, it's not what," but Kane cut him off with a look that could have cracked the floor beneath their feet. "Don't," Kane whispered, though the whisper carried more threat than any shout. Holden swallowed hard. Claire Newman had warned him that Kane could be dangerous when pushed. Tonight, he could see it. Phyllis Summers entered the lounge moments later, unaware of the emotional carnage waiting for her. She spotted Kane from behind, his posture tight with fury. She started to approach, ready to tease him, ready to needle him into another night's distraction, but then she caught sight of Lily's stricken face and Holden standing close enough to her that the truth clicked instantly. Phyllis's eyes widened, then narrowed into fascination. "Oh," she murmured, a wicked smirk growing. "This just got interesting." And it had. Because everything, Kane and Phyllis's night, Lily's voicemail, Holden's vulnerability, Claire's suspicions, was about to collide in one disastrous explosion. Lily took a step toward Kane, her voice trembling. "Kane. I can explain." "Can you?" he asked coldly, his tone icy as steel dipped in acid. "Because it looks pretty clear from where I'm standing." Holden moved to intervene, but Lily stopped him with a small shake of her head. She knew Kane. Knew how he thought, felt, unraveled, reacted. If Holden stepped in now, it would escalate into violence. Kane tore his gaze away from her long enough to stare Holden down. "You really want to do this?" Holden didn't back down. "It wasn't planned. We were talking, things got emotional, so you took advantage," Kane snapped. Lily intervened quickly. "No. He didn't. It wasn't like that." "Wasn't it?" Kane shot back. "Maybe I should let Claire know her new buddy here has a bad habit of waiting until women fall apart before sliding in to catch them." That struck a nerve. Holden tensed, jaw clenching hard. "You don't know a damn thing about me." Kane stepped in close. "I know enough." "Kane, stop." Lily begged. But Kane wasn't listening. He couldn't. The hurt was too raw, too deep. "You kiss him minutes after leaving me that voicemail?" he demanded, his voice cracking with pain he tried desperately to hide. Lily flinched. He'd listened already. Of course he had. "So what was that?" Kane continued. "A goodbye? A pity call? Something to ease your conscience while you moved on?" Lily's throat tightened. "I didn't move on, sure looks like you did." The words hit her harder than expected because she wasn't sure if he was wrong. She had acted impulsively. Irrationally. Desperately. And now everything she tried to protect was shattering faster than she could pick up the pieces. Holden placed a hesitant hand on her shoulder, trying to help, but Kane's eyes locked onto the gesture with explosive fury. "Get your hand off her," Kane warned. Holden dropped it instantly, not afraid, just smart. Lily stepped forward, desperate to cut through Kane's pain. "Kane, please listen." "No," he snapped. "I'm done listening. I'm done begging. I'm done trying." That last line sliced straight into Lily. The world went silent for a long, painful moment. Then Kane exhaled shakily, forcing himself to calm down. "Congratulations," he said bitterly. "You finally showed me what I should have seen months ago." He turned and walked out before anyone could stop him, leaving Lily standing alone in the debris of her own emotional implosion. Phyllis watched him go, her eyes glinting with dangerous interest. She approached Lily with a slow, provocative grin. Wow. You really screwed that up, didn't you? Holden glared at her. Back off, Phyllis. What? She replied innocently. I'm just stating the obvious. Kane was finally done being your emotional punching bag, and you rewarded him by making out with the next guy who complimented your heartbreak. Lily's face hardened with humiliation and fury. What happens between Kane and me is none of your concern. Oh, sweetheart, Phyllis murmured, leaning in close. It's very much my concern. Because while you were kissing Holden like a teenager, Kane was in my bed. The color drained from Lily's face. Holden stiffened. Claire, who had quietly followed Holden back into the lounge after calming down outside, froze in the doorway. Her eyes widened. Phyllis in Kane's bed? Tonight? Phyllis, Holden warned sharply. What? Phyllis purred. She deserves the truth. She's not the only one with options. Lily swallowed hard, nausea curling deep in her stomach. Kane, slept with you? We didn't sleep, Phyllis corrected with a smirk. Sleeping implies resting. Claire's eyebrows shot up. Wow. Even for you, that's messy. Phyllis turned toward her.